Stephanie Jordan, Local Food Program Manager here at Sustainable Solano. Welcome to Bounty of the County, presentation number 3. We're really excited to have you guys joining us this afternoon. If you've been with us before, you know that Bounty of the County is a celebration of local food, farms, independent restaurants, and wineries based here in Solano County, California. The event is running for 6 weeks from September 1st through October 10. And we originally wanted to create Bounty of the County in order to raise public awareness of Solano-based farms and the specialty crops that they grow, as well as independent restaurants who use those crops, and of course our local wineries. So the farms participating in Bounty of this County this year do grow specialty crops, and those include vegetables, fruits, tree nuts, culinary herbs. There are also some nursery products and flowers in the specialty crop category, but we are focusing on all the yummy edibles out there that are found at our farms and at our local restaurants. So this event also feeds into Sustainable Solano's larger mission, which is to build a more robust local food system in Solano County that is environmentally sustainable and more resilient, especially in times of change, which we are in right now, equitable, and also a food system that helps to build the local economy. So we are also using Bounty of the County to raise some funds for a lot of the farms that got hit pretty hard by some wildfires that broke out the week of August 17. A lot of the damage was done in the Pleasance Valley area, which is west of Vacaville. But we have also seen a lot of just tremendous generosity by community members who have stepped up to help, either through monetary donations or through, moving animals around, you name it. There's been a lot of volunteering and a lot of contribution toward those efforts. 100% of all tax-deductible donations that Sustainable Solano gets in the month of September will get channeled directly to those farmers, ranchers, and growers who were directly affected by the wildfires. So to make a donation toward this fund, you can visit sustainablesolano.org. I believe Allison might be posting this link in the chat, and you can follow it from there. And I also wanted to mention that a lot of wineries and other businesses are running some specials and some promotions toward those efforts. So we hope you'll get out there and purchase goods from these businesses and also help our local farmers at the same time. So every dollar that you spend at a restaurant or a winery or a farm helps to build our local food system. So before I introduce our featured trio today, I just have a few Zoom housekeeping items. The first thing is you might want to put yourself in speaker view, which will help you to kind of hone in on who is talking, and then you won't see a gazillion little squares all over the place. So we recommend speaker view for this presentation. Also, audience members, you will be coming in on mute, and you will be staying on mute until the end. But at the end, we will unmute you so that you can ask questions directly to our participants today. So during our Q&A at the end, you have a couple of options. One is to hold your question and just do the raise hand button at the end, at which point you can speak directly to our participants and have a conversation. And the other option is to post your question in the chat, which is found at the bottom. And then we will read those questions to our group as well. All right, so this week we have Alicia Baddorf here from Terra Firma Farm, and our restaurant chef is Lindsey Chelini, who's the executive chef and owner of Backdoor Bistro in Vacaville. And our featured winery of the week is Woodin Valley Winery, and I'd like to welcome Ron Lanza from Woodin Valley. So we're gonna start with our farm. Alicia, you are here from Terra Firma. You guys are a certified organic farm, and I know your proper address is in Winters, but you also have some farmland in Solano County. And so take it away. Tell us what you guys grow and how people can find your products.
Thanks, Stephanie. So I work at Terra Firma Farms as the sales and CSA manager. As Stephanie said, we are located primarily in Winters, but we do have several sites in Solano and Yolo County. We grow food on about 200 acres, and that includes organic vegetables, nuts, and fruit. We are able to grow year-round here in this climate, which is pretty lucky. And we were able to also employ our staff year-round, which is a great opportunity for them and for us to have a really skilled crew with us. We have several different outlets for our produce. Prior to COVID, we were working with a lot of restaurants, and obviously that has changed quite a bit. And we've started doing more business with our CSA program. For those of you who aren't familiar with the CSA, that stands for Community Supported Agriculture. So basically the idea is that we have folks from the community who pay a certain amount up front for their CSA boxes, and they get fresh produce from the farm on a weekly basis. So this is kind of a neat way for you to support your local farm and then also eat seasonally and get some really good quality fresh produce. So our CSA pretty much doubled in size since March. So we went from like under 700 to now between 1,200 and 1,300 regular CSA members. So yeah, it's been a big change for us. And we stopped taking CSA members recently for the time being. Right now we have a wait list, but I did include a promo code. So if you're not already a CSA member with us and you're interested in signing up, you can visit our website and you can email us the promo code, and when we're ready to accept you into the program, when we have enough space, then we'll give you a $10 discount off your first box. So yeah, we're really excited about that. We're also really grateful to still have some consistent restaurant accounts, and that includes Backdoor Bistro. Really excited to see Lindsey's cooking demo. She's going to be featuring our delicata squash, which I am a big fan of personally. It's really easy to cook with. You can eat the skin. It's easy to throw on the grill. Really simple. So I'm looking forward to that. This year we grew about 4 acres of delicata squash. So that usually gets us through to November or December. And depending on the popularity of it, like I said, our market's kind of in flux right now. And also with the wildfires, everything is changing, as everybody knows, in 2020. So I think that's all that I have. I'm definitely open for questions later. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for listening.
Alicia, I just have a question. I know I saw Pablito's newsletter, and he was talking about how some of the smoke was influencing the crops, like things just aren't really growing as much. Is that what's going on? Can you tell us kind of about kind of how that's affecting the farm? And I don't know, are there solutions for that?
Yeah, I mean, I think this is something that is just becoming more of a prevalent issue in California, and I guess on the West Coast as a whole too. I don't know about solid studies that have been done. I can only speak for our farm, and with the smoke being in the air for as long as it has been, that's blocking out the sun, and it's definitely slowing down our crops. So that is part of the reason that we were prompted to put a wait list on our CSA again, because we want to be able to uphold the commitment to our current CSA members. And things like watermelon and tomatoes have slowed down to the point where we're expecting to have a certain amount picked, but they're not ready, or they're not ripening quickly enough. But yeah, we're sort of learning as we go, because it's pretty unprecedented. So yeah, we'll keep you posted.
Sounds good. Well, I personally have been a CSA subscriber to Terra Firma for many years. I don't know, 7 or 8 years, and the quality is great. I love their food. It's really fun to, it's kind of like opening a present every week to see what's inside and what I can make. So thanks for everything that you guys do out there at Terra Firma. All right, and I know that you've had a long relationship with Chef Lindsey at Backdoor Bistro, and you've given her some delicata squash to work with. So I'm going to shift over to Chef Lindsey Chelini of Backdoor Bistro. And you are now in a new location. Well, not recently, about 6 months ago, I think. You said you moved to a new location. So Backdoor Bistro is now in downtown Vacaville in the town square area. And Lindsey, you are making a scrumptious looking bacon wrapped pork loin with Terra Firma's delicata squash. Yes. Take it away.
Yes, I am. Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you. So I'm going to be kind of shifting the camera around a little bit as I'm doing different things. Yeah, so we are just recently moved to downtown Vacaville. We are so excited to be down there, really feel the sense of community with all the other restaurants surrounding us. And we've been very lucky because we have patio space. So during all the craziness of COVID, we've been able to seat people outside, which has been amazing for us. And so yeah, come check us out if you haven't been. So I'm gonna start. So I'm preparing today a bacon wrapped pork loin with a delicata squash from Terra Firma and a savory pear puree. These are Asian pears. They have a super short season around here, and we got these ones from a local woman, Sherry Mendez. We get them from her every year, and they're amazing. When we got the first box, I ate 5 because they're that good, and they're just really unique and sweet, but not super sweet, and crunchy and juicy and just amazing. So, and then we're doing a apple mustard reduction. If you can kind of see there, I've got it working, and I'll kind of discuss that. And so that's our dish. So I'll start here with talking about the preparation of the delicata squash. I am at my home, by the way, so those are my son's pictures on the fridge. Okay, we'll go down here so you can kind of see what I'm doing. So, delicata squash. As they mentioned earlier, as Alicia mentioned earlier, these are really cool, unique squash. They're kind of in between summer and winter. So you have your summer squash, zucchini, the assorted zucchinis, and summer squash. You know, crook necks, the rondos. There's all different sort of summer squash. And then you have your winter squash, so you have butternut, you have acorn, all of those, which are super firm on their skin when you're trying to break into them. So typically you don't eat the skin on those. And as Alicia mentioned, these are really cool because they have this beautiful skin, but you can eat it. Sometimes later in the season, if they're kind of hanging around, it will get tough on you and we will peel it. But right now, these are fresh, these are early, and they're beautiful. So I'm going to clean out the seeds, just like you would a winter squash. Typically with summer squash, you know, you can eat the seeds, no problem, but you can even save these and roast them just like you would a pumpkin. So we kind of clean that out, and I've got my little debris bowl here, which helps me to work clean in my kitchen. So we scrape that out. And then you can just kind of cut it in little half moons is the easiest way. I mean, you can cut it however you want, but I think for these to get the best bang for your buck, you just do the little half moons. And I have some ready here. So I toss these, very simple, just salt, olive oil, and fresh chopped rosemary. And I roasted them at 375 for about 15, 20 minutes, just so they're kind of fork tender. So those are ready to go. So then I will work on my savory pear puree. So pork, of course, loves sweet. Apple, I always love apple with it. You can do anything. I mean, you could do pomegranate. I mean, the sweet options are kind of endless when it comes to pork. So this is a fun puree when you have some pears or even apples that are going kind of south in your fridge or getting kind of mushy and you don't want to eat them. Just turn them into a puree. So I just kind of do a quick little cut. Doesn't have to be perfect. Get that core out. cut these all down. And then I'm going to, so that's what I have those to work with. That goes in my debris bowl. And then I have shallot. It's a savory puree. It does have some sweetness, but I'm going to add these shallots, so they're going to just kind of up that savory note. So, and you can just do a rough chop on this too, because it's going to get pureed. So that's that. And I'm going to sweat these down, the onion, or I mean the shallot and the Asian pear. These are going to get sweat down together with some butter. And I'm going to get a little bit of caramelization on there. That's going to just add more flavor to my puree. And I'm going to do a little bit of Dijon mustard in there. Dijon. And that's going to help tie into my beautiful whole grain mustard sauce that I'm working to go with the pork as well. So that's that. So that goes into a pan. And we'll start that working, and I'll show you that. A little bit of butter, and of course some salt. And so, I mean, it may seem weird to add salt to something that's going to be sweet, but it just balances it. So salt is so important in cooking. Okay, so I'm going to get that working. I can kind of show you that over here. Let's see. There we go. So it's in the back there. I'm going to add, like I said, some butter, a little Dijon, and my salt, and get that sweating down. So then I'm going to bacon wrap my pork loin. Okay, so this has been brined already. And of course, when you get a loin in the grocery store, it's going to be huge. It's going to be like a foot long, basically. So you can do that at home if you're hosting a bunch of people, or you can do the tenderloin, of course. It's going to be a little bit more tender. It's going to have a little bit more marbleization. So this I brined. We did some honey, some rosemary, some salt, of course, water, and a little bit of baking soda. The pork loin is not super tender, so the baking soda kind of helps to tenderize the protein. You can pretty much do that with any sort of protein that may need it, but we do it on all of our pork at the restaurant. And yes, I did brine this, but of course I'm going to salt and pepper it as well. So I'm just going to do each individual little medallion of the loin, but of course, if you're doing this at home, you can take the whole tenderloin and just wrap the bacon around and throw the whole thing on the grill, super easy. Or sometimes at Nugget, you know, they have it already bacon wrapped for you. But this is how we do it at the restaurant. And then you just kind of tie it around. This is going to secure your bacon. I did par cook this bacon as well, just to start the rendering process. So I'm not dealing with just raw bacon and trying to cook it down, get it nice and crisp. And then in turn, I may overcook my little sensitive medallion here. So I par cooked the bacon for about 10 minutes in the oven, 350. So that's that. And it just, you know, it doesn't need to be super tight, just kind of secure to hold your bacon. Okay. All right, so now we'll go back over to the stove. You can kind of see, I'll move. But so here, I've got one ready to go. I'm gonna set that there. And I already have one seared and roasted off, so you guys can see. And I just kind of got the bacon nice and crisp. The hard thing can be to kind of balance your little medallion to get your bacon evenly crisp. But if you have some fat pockets, who doesn't like that? So then you can also, I like to throw some rosemary in the pan, as I've done here, a couple pats of butter, and baste the pork towards the finishing so you have that extra flavor as it's finishing cooking. Okay, so that's that. And then I'm going to talk about our mustard sauce here. Okay. So then, am I doing okay on time, Stephanie?
Yeah,
okay.
You're fine. Yep, carry on.
Okay. So now what I've done here, I've finely minced some shallot. So I had shallot in my pear puree, and I've got shallot going on here. We use a lot of shallots at the restaurant. Just kind of gives that really nuanced, gentle nuance of onion. So I have here, I've simmered down apple cider vinegar. So probably, you know, enough for a family of 4 or so, probably a heaping cup of apple cider or apple juice and a heaping tablespoon of apple cider vinegar. So I sweat my shallots down a little bit in butter. Then I added my juice and my cider, and I let that cook down for about 10-15 minutes, just so it starts to thicken. So you can see here, it's kind of started to thicken. So that's about where I want it. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to what's called mount in cold butter. So this is going to give the sauce a beautiful viscosity, nice body, and of course, nice flavor from the butter. And of course, salt. Got salt in here. I know I need a little more. Little salt. So that's that. And then if you can kind of see what I'm doing, I have the butter here. My sauce is simmering. It needs to be simmering when I work in the butter. Otherwise, it will just kind of melt in there and it won't make it velvety, if that makes sense. So here we go. And it's also going to kind of thicken our sauce. And you can mount in butter to any sauce. You're like, all I have in the house is some red wine left over from last night. Cook down a little bit of red wine with some aromatics and a splash of chicken stock to where it just starts to thicken. And then mount in some butter and you have sauce for steak or pork or whatever, lamb. Okay, so I'll do 1 more tablespoon and we're gonna be good to go here. That's looking really nice. Got a nice consistency. I'll show you guys what we're working with here. So if you can see, I'll show you on the plate as well, but just really nice consistency. And it smells so good. You get the apple, but it's not too sweet. You get the mustard, you get the creaminess of the butter. It's just gonna go really nicely with the delicata squash and the pork. Okay, so now I'm going to plate up a dish for you guys so you can see the finished product. So I got to grab a plate. Okay, plate. So here's my finished product of the pear puree. That beautiful caramelized pear puree. It smells so good. You just get that onion, just the hint of mustard, and the Asian pears are just so nice. So, doing a nice bit of that. And again, you could do this with apple. We have our swoosh, as we call it in the kitchen world. And we have our pork, which I need to cut the string off of. Okay, right down on there. Okay, squash. So beautiful. It's a very fall looking dish. It's not technically fall yet, but I think we're all ready for it. I know I am. Okay, and you can add a little greenery on here at the restaurant. We do a little beautiful raw kale salad to complement this. You get your green and a little crunch. So let's see, then our sauce. And I love sauce. I mean, I don't know who doesn't love sauce, but we try to load up the sauce at the restaurant. I always tell the cooks, like, load up the sauce because it makes it. So we'll do this little sprig. Just add a little green. And that is our dish. You can see it there. Okay, well, the sauce is running off. But that's the dish. So I think that's it, unless, Stephanie, you have anything for me for now.
You know, I have a quick question. If you could back up to the pork loin, I think you said that you pan roasted it. So did you start it in the saute pan and sear it and then just move it to the oven to finish it off? Or did you do it all on the stovetop?
Thank you so much. So this particular one that I served for us was a little bit thin. So I did him completely in the pan. But if we have a thicker one, or if you are doing a whole tenderloin, you can definitely get your sear and then finish it probably, 8 to 10 minutes in a 350-degree oven.
Perfect.
And then
cool.
All
right. Okay. Awesome. We'll come back to the audience. I'm hoping other people have more questions.
Okay.
All right. Now the big question is, Ron, what wine do we need to drink with that delicious dish?
That's easy. That's easy. The problem is, how do you follow up Lindsey in that presentation? Alicia and I, we can't compete with that. Excellent job. I will definitely say I do have a wine for that, and we'll talk about that. It'd be probably our 2018 Barbera, which I'll bring back into the talk about a little bit later. But anyway, yeah, that's Barbera is be the one, I think. I do have Petit Syrah, but I think Barbera.
Cool. All right. Well, first tell us about Woodin Valley. I know that it's a product of true family teamwork. You have a number of brothers, and your parents were involved, your grandparents started it. So yeah, tell us about the winery. Sure
will. First of all, the winery started when Prohibition ended in 1933 by two Italian brothers who all things had a farm stand down in Cordelia. And they had a farm stand, and as soon as Prohibition ended, the first thing Italians do is look away to open a winery. So these two Italian brothers did that, and they did that right here on which was Woodin Valley Road at the time. We are now on Suisun Valley Road, but the reason they named it Woodin Valley Winery is this was Woodin Valley Road up until about the time they put Lake Berryessa in. And it is Woodin Valley Road. If you go up past our winery and hit the Napa County line, it's Woodin Valley Road. You don't know it, but it changes. But these two brothers started the winery. My grandfather bought wine from them, and then over time, my grandfather was actually in Oakland Garbage. There's a picture of my grandparents, Mario and Lena. My grandfather was an Oakland garbageman, got hurt working the garbage, was forced to sell his share in the garbage business, and ended up becoming partners with one of the brothers. As one of the brothers passed away, the Brea brothers that started the winery. My grandpa became partners, and they had my dad and bought out the business. And next thing you know, I think it was in 1955, my grandfather bought the business. It was a partnership with the Breas, Salvador Brea, and then ended up buying them out. And there's a picture of my parents. My dad was 3 years old when he got here back in 1943. And when they bought out the winery, they took it over. And then my parents went on to have 4 sons. And if you spend any time in Suisun Valley, it's not hard to figure out why all 4 sons wanted to stay right here in Suisun Valley. Unfortunately, we're not little boys anymore. We're all in our 50s. But we all work together today, and we all have different aspects of the business that we take care of. And today, the winery's about a 25,000 case winery. We sell about 10,000 of those cases through our tasting room. But our bigger part of our operation is probably our vineyard operation. And so we produce roughly 2,500 tons of grapes. And we use some here, and then we sell to other wineries and even back east. And so we do all kinds of things, any way we can do to stay in business. So we have the winery and about 400 acres of vineyards. So, and then one of my brothers does the winemaking. 2 of them do the farming operation. I like to say I do all the drinking, the fun part, but I also have to do the business part and do things like this, the marketing part, the talking part, the fun part. So, but today, we're all still here. We all live within a mile of the winery. As my grandma would say, no commute. She always said, no commute, no stress, but there's still stress, trust me. It's farming, there's plenty of stress. One of the pictures shows back in 1982 when my father petitioned out to get our AVA Suisun Valley. So an AVA is something called American Viticulture Area, and that meant that you had to petition with the federal government to prove that your area was unique to growing fine wine grapes. And my dad did that kind of by himself with a guy named Ben Volkart in Green Valley. The two of them set out to get our AVAs, and we had Green Valley and Suisun Valley. They're separate AVAs, but they're very important. We're only 18 months behind Napa Valley getting their AVA. At the time, I didn't think much it was that important, but today, with everything that's going on in Suisun Valley, it's extremely important, and we're really excited about the future. So, and it's real proud of my dad had the foresight to do that so many years ago. So if you come into Suisun Valley, you cannot get in the valley without passing a sign that says, welcome to Suisun Valley, American Viticulture. I'm very proud of that. Some of the wines that there's a picture of this latest wines that we won some awards on. And I mentioned the Barbera, all those are gold medal winners. And this was in the Sunset magazine competition. We actually usually only enter the San Francisco Chronicle competition, but Michelle, our tasting manager, which you all saw earlier, she wanted to do the Sunset as well. And I'm glad she did, because these all got gold medals. Our Petite Syrah got a double gold, the Barbera gold, and this dry rosé called Rosetta is a Sangiovese rosé, and we named it after my great grandmother, Rosetta Calavaro, which she lived here until she passed away. So we're excited about that as well. Trying to think of some other important things. We are open, fortunately. We have good outdoor space. Well, it's not 108 to 113. It's fine. But we are open in 7 days a week, 10 to 5. We do have our wine in some of the local grocery stores. Fairfield and Backville, all the Safeway and Rayleigh's have the wine in the stores. So other than that, it's pretty much right here in Suisun Valley. Some of the things we're really proud of is Suisun Valley Vintners and Growers Association. I'm currently, I was actually involved in forming the association back in 2003, and currently president of the association. So we have a lot of fun stuff, exciting things going on. Unfortunately, some of the events this year had to be postponed or canceled for a year. But we're looking forward to 2021 and getting back out there. We have, some of you might have been to Passport Sunday before and things like that. Harvest celebration. We have an anniversary celebration. The day of the AVA was established was December 27th. So we usually have that, but I'm not sure how we're going to be able to handle that this year, depending on the guidelines. Be in December. If it was a summertime thing, we'd be outside. We could probably pull it off, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, real excited about Suisun Valley and excited to hear these. Lindsey, what a great, she does fantastic. I've been to several dinners. I don't know if Lindsey remembers, I'm sure she does, but unfortunately, one of the casualties on Pleasant Valley Road was the little winery that she did a dinner for that I was in attendance. It was an auction item, and it was fantastic work. And I definitely want to try Alicia's stuff too. So anyway, if anybody has any questions, thank you for having me on here.
Great. Thank you, Ron. I don't know, I hear an echo. It might be me. Oh, no, it went away. Okay. Ron, I just have a quick question. You had mentioned Green Valley and then Suisun Valley. Do you have grapes in both of those locations and work with them in your wines, or are they just two separate?
They're just two separate AVAs. Occasionally, we had bought a few grapes from neighbors in Green Valley, but primarily we focus on Suisun Valley. It just happened to be its own separate AVA. Green Valley, we're small. Suisun Valley's small. There might be, with Camus here planting a whole bunch of stuff, we might be over 4,000 acres now. but I can't imagine that Green Valley is maybe 400. I'm not sure. It's just a smaller thing, but it is its own AVA. And so there's the only difference is there's 2 Green Valley AVAs. There's Green Valley in Sonoma and there's Green Valley Solano. So there's 2 Green Valleys.
Okay.
Yeah, so sometimes people, but you'll see there is one that say Green Valley in Sonoma, but there's only one Susan Valley, that's for sure.
Right. Awesome. Thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and open it up to our audience. We'll see if anybody has any questions. And again, if you want to use the raise hand button, you can do that and then have a conversation directly with our featured guests here today, or you can type something into the chat and we'll pass it on. So let's see if anybody out there. Anybody? Let's see, I'm going to make sure I'm reading this correctly here. I need to be watching for something I know. Hold on. Oh, I saw a question here. Is there a link to the recipe? Lindsay, that one is all to you. I think you're muted. So, oh, there, you unmuted yourself.
I can do that. I can definitely do that. Yeah, I can, I'll type up some recipes and then I'll get those over to you guys at Sustainable Solano.
That sounds great. We'll post them up on our site. You can find all of this information on our Bounty of the County webpage on Sustainable Solano's site, and it'll direct you to recipes of Lindsay's and a lot of other information that's here. So great, awesome. Thank you, Lindsay. Right. And then another question came in. This is for you, Ron. Do you guys ship out of state? And you're muted, Ron. You'll need to unmute yourself. Or maybe Allison, can you unmute Ron?
1 second.
Stand up. Oh, there you go, Ron.
Okay, yeah, there's a list of states we ship through a shipping company in Napa, and we bring it over there. So yeah, I think there is a half a dozen states that we can't, and I don't know them all offhand. So, if they call the tasting room, or we might have it online, I'm not sure, but call the tasting room's best and see. But majority of them, 45 or so, I think we can get to.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. All right. Allison, I'm going to ask for your help. Were there any raised hands? I saw the chat, but I'm not sure if I saw.
There are not any raised hands at this time. So yeah, if anyone has a question, you are welcome to use that or the chat. And while we're waiting, I can share the survey.
Yes, we have a survey for all of you participating. This is just a really quick and easy one, and it just helps us with our reports back to the funder. So if any of you have been on here in the past, it is helpful to have you re-enter results or answers into the survey, and it's just, helps us with all of our data collection and stuff that we need going forward. So the link is posted in the chat, and thank you in advance, everyone, for filling that out. Let's see. Anything else? Oh, Lindsay, I just want to make sure everyone knows when you guys are open. Is it all 7 days a week, or is there a day that you're closed? Give us the rundown on your hours. That would be great.
Yes, great. So we're open Tuesday through Saturday right now, 11:30 to 2 during the week for lunch, 5 to 9 for dinner. And then on Saturdays, we do 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. for brunch. And next 2 weeks from now, we're opening back up for Sunday brunch. So it's taken a little time to get our staffing where we want it with all the changes and everything. So we're super excited to do Sunday brunch again. So very soon, Saturday and Sunday brunch.
All right. Awesome. Thank you very much for that. All right. So I don't see any other questions coming in. I'm just going to scan here for a second. I'm seeing compliments. Everything looks wonderful. Looks delicious. All right, good. If we don't have any more questions, we will just wrap it up, I think. So don't forget to head on over to Backdoor Bistro and try out Lindsey's bacon-wrapped pork loin with the delicata squash. Pick up some Wooden Valley wine on your way past or through or whatever, however you can get it. And we look forward to seeing all of you at next week's Bounty of the County presentation. That one will feature Chef Joey Jaraba from 260 Kitchen and Bar in Fairfield. Also, we will have Matthew Engelhart from Beloved Farm. And our winery of the week is Sassoon Valley Wine Co-op, and we've got a guy named Fa joining us from the Wine Co-op. So I cannot say his last name.
No, you won't.
Maybe you know it, Ron. But
No, I don't. I say Fa. All I say is, hey, Fa.
Yeah. So details on all of that and registration can be found on Sustainable Solano's website. And again, that is sustainablesolano.org. And so thank you again so much to everyone who joined us, and we'll look forward to seeing you all next time.
Thank you. Salute.
Thanks. Salud.